iconoclast অর্থ লালিত ধারণা বা প্রতিষ্ঠানকে আক্রমণ করে এমন কেউ প্রচলিত ধ্যানধারণা চূর্ণকারী someone who attacks cherished ideas or institutions.
Iconoclast is a noun.
Are you always challenging the establishment? Or provoking popular thought by attacking traditions and institutions? Then you're definitely an iconoclast. To be called an iconoclast today is usually kind of cool. They are rugged individualists, bold thinkers, who don't give a hoot what tradition calls for. But back in medieval Greece, the iconoclasts had a more thuggish reputation. Stemming from the Greek words icon, meaning image, and clasts, meaning breaker, an iconoclast was someone who destroyed religious sculptures and paintings. Memory aid to help you memorize this. Icon equals idol. Clash equals fragments. So, one who destroys idols into pieces is iconoclast.
iconoclast অর্থ লালিত ধারণা বা প্রতিষ্ঠানকে আক্রমণ করে এমন কেউ প্রচলিত ধ্যানধারণা চূর্ণকারী someone who attacks cherished ideas or institutions.
Synonym: critic, cynic, dissenter, dissident, heretic, radical, rebel, denouncer. Antonym: believer. Dave Soldier is an iconoclast, trying to expand our idea of what music can be.
iconoclast অর্থ লালিত ধারণা বা প্রতিষ্ঠানকে আক্রমণ করে এমন কেউ প্রচলিত ধ্যানধারণা চূর্ণকারী someone who attacks cherished ideas or institutions. Idolatry অর্থ দেবতা হিসাবে বস্তু বা মূর্তির পূজা the worship of objects or images as gods.
Idolatry is a noun. Idolatry means the worship of images, as if they were gods. Many religions prohibit idolatry, some even to the extent of forbidding any representational objects in houses of worship. Idol sits at the head of the word idolatry. If you worship, or even just look up to, a person or a thing, you are said to idolize them. For some modern idolaters, money is their idol, while for others it is celebrities, and for still others their jobs. Memory aid to help you memorize this. Idol equals ideal. We worship ideal people.
Idolatry অর্থ দেবতা হিসাবে বস্তু বা মূর্তির পূজা the worship of objects or images as gods.
Synonym: adoration, worship, idolism. She must have looked into our eyes and seen the shining idolatry there and understood that she was trapped.
Idolatry অর্থ দেবতা হিসাবে বস্তু বা মূর্তির পূজা the worship of objects or images as gods. Immutable অর্থ বিষয় বা পরিবর্তনের জন্য সংবেদনশীল নয় not subject or susceptible to change or variation.
Immutable is an adjective. If you can't change it, it's immutable. There are many things in life that are immutable. These unchangeable things include death, taxes, and the laws of physics. If you can't change it, it's immutable. There are many things in life that are immutable. These unchangeable things include death, taxes, and the laws of physics. The adjective immutable has Latin roots that mean not changeable. The Latin prefix for not is in, but the spelling changes when the prefix is put before the consonant M. Memory aid. IMMU, movable, table, so it's permanently in one place unchanged. Transmute equals change. But immutable equals changeless. Unchangeable equals immovable equals immutable.
Immutable অর্থ বিষয় বা পরিবর্তনের জন্য সংবেদনশীল নয়। Not subject or susceptible to change or variation.
Synonym: abiding, enduring, immovable, inflexible, sacrosanct. Antonym: alterable, changeable, flexible, mutable, variable. Two things are immutable about us as living, breathing organisms.
Immutable. অর্থ: বিষয় বা পরিবর্তনের জন্য সংবেদনশীল নয়। Not subject or susceptible to change or variation. Impair. গুণমান হ্রাস করা, কম কার্যকর করা। To weaken or make worse.
Impair is a verb. Impairer is a noun. Impairer is the person who impairs the situation or condition. If you make bad decisions in the morning after drinking coffee, you might conclude that caffeine tends to impair your judgment. When you impair something, you damage it or make it work poorly. The root of the verb impair traces back to the Latin word pejorare, meaning to make worse, and that's still what happens if you impair something. Whether it's communication, visibility, or your marriage prospects, if you impair it, you make it worse. The word can be used for situations that describe something that has deteriorated, such as snow continued to impair driving conditions.
Memory aid to remember this. Impair equals in plus pair. If you wear incorrect pair of shoes, you may hurt yourself while walking. In other words, you may impair the condition.
Impair. গুণমান হ্রাস করা, কম কার্যকর করা। To weaken or make worse.
Synonym:
Blunt, damage, debilitate, decrease, destroy, diminish, prejudice, tarnish.
Antonym:
Aid, assist, cure, develop, enlarge, expand, extend. Instead, it's more consistent with the idea that repeated cold exposure might actually impair your toes' ability to handle the cold.
Impair. গুণমান হ্রাস করা, কম কার্যকর করা। To weaken or make worse. Impassive. অনুভূতি শূন্য, নিরাসক্ত, অনাসক্ত. Having or revealing little emotion or sensibility.
Impassive is an adjective. Impassively is the adverb of impassive. Impassiveness and impassivity is the noun of impassive. Someone who doesn't seem to react, who is always taking a pass in the conversation of life, can be described as impassive. Impassive is tricky, as it sounds it should be the opposite of passive. It's not, though. The fact is you can be passive and impassive at the same time. When a passive person gets passed over for a promotion at work, their face might remain impassive upon hearing the news. Memory aid to help you memorize this. Impassive equals I plus M plus passive. Someone saying, I am passive, a deadpan, expressionless, poker-faced, unexpressive.
Impassive. অনুভূতি শূন্য, নিরাসক্ত, অনাসক্ত. Having or revealing little emotion or sensibility.
Synonym:
Emotionless, placid, reticent, serene, stoic, stolid, taciturn, unemotional, unflappable, unruffled.
Antonym:
Agitated, communicative, emotional, excited, feeling, nervous. Probably what most recommended her to the critical mind of Miss Warrender was her impassive taciturnity.
I'm passive. অনুভূতি শূন্য, নিরাসক্ত, অনাসক্ত, having a revealing little emotion or sensibility. Impede, ব্যাহত করা, বাধা দেওয়া, বিঘ্ন ঘটানো, be a hindrance or obstacle to.
Impede is a verb. Impeder is the noun of impede. To impede something is to delay or block its progress or movement. Carrying 6 heavy bags will impede your progress if you're trying to walk across town in a hurry. Impede comes from the Latin impedire, which literally means to hold the feet, formed from the prefix in dash, in, plus pes, foot. Think about walking with a cast on your foot, how slow and awkward that would be. If you struggle with reading, that might impede your progress in your social studies class. An impediment is something that impedes, such as a physical defect that affects speech, a speech impediment.
Memory aid to remember this.
Impede equals in, not, plus pede. Not going forward.
Impede, ব্যাহত করা, বাধা দেওয়া, বিঘ্ন ঘটানো, be a hindrance or obstacle to.
Synonym:
Deter, disrupt, retard, stymie, thwart.
Antonym:
Advance, aid, allow, assist, encourage, expedite. As outcomes, elimination and endemic transmission may be opposites, but thinking that we need to choose one or the other is a mistake that can impede public understanding of how to manage the pandemic.
Impede, ব্যাহত করা, বাধা দেওয়া, বিঘ্ন ঘটানো, be a hindrance or obstacle to. Impermeable, অপ্রবেশ্য, অভেদ্য, preventing especially liquids to pass or diffuse through.
Impermeable is an adjective. Impermeability is the noun of impermeable. If you have a waterproof raincoat, you could say that your coat is impermeable to the rain. Something that is impermeable does not allow water or liquid to pass through it. Made up of the prefix im, meaning not, and the adjective permeable, meaning allowing to pass through, impermeable is used in much the same way as impervious or impenetrable. However, more so than these words, impermeable is especially associated with liquids and is often used in a scientific or technical context. Some gadgets, like waterproof watches and underwater cameras, are designed to be impermeable.
Memory aid to remember this.
Impermeable and permeable. I'm meaning not. And the adjective permeable, meaning allowing to pass through. So impermeable is not allowing to pass through. Impermeable, অপ্রবেশ্য, অভেদ্য, preventing especially liquids to pass or diffuse through.
Synonym:
Airtight, dense, hermetic, unpassable, impervious, leakproof, non-porous, sealed, waterproof, watertight. Special, impermeable tape that seals a metal or carbon fiber embed against air loss, especially around the spoke holes. Impermeable, অপ্রবেশ্য, অভেদ্য, preventing especially liquids to pass or diffuse through. Imperturbable, শান্ত, সহজে উত্তেজিত হয় না এমন. Calm, not easily excited.
imperturbable is an adjective. Noun form is imperturbability. Adverb form is imperturbably.
If you're imperturbable, you are not easily upset. If your goal is to be imperturbable, then you can't let things bother you or get you stressed, confused, or angry. The adjective imperturbable is the flip side of perturbable, which comes from perturb, which in turn traces back to the Latin word perturbere, meaning to confuse or to disturb. If something really annoying is going on, like one neighbor is jackhammering his driveway and another has a dog that's barking while you're trying to sleep because you were up all night studying and you really need a nap, but you stay calm and don't get upset, you are imperturbable.
Imperturbable, im plus perturb, like turturb, plus babble, just talking foolishly. So, the person who never do any turtur and never babbles is a very cool, calm and peaceful guy.
Imperturbable. শান্ত, সহজে উত্তেজিত হয় না এমন. Calm, not easily excited. Impervious. অনুপ্রবেশ বা প্রভাবিত হতে অক্ষম. Incapable of being penetrated or affected.
Impervious is an adjective. Noun form is imperviousness. Adverb form is imperviously.
An impervious surface is one that can't be penetrated. The word is often followed by to, as in his steely personality made him impervious to jokes about his awful haircut. Things are often described as being impervious to physical assaults like heat, water, bullets, weather, and attack, but just as frequently to less tangible things, like reason, criticism, pain, and pressure. The word comes from Latin, in plus pervious, meaning not letting things through. A common synonym is impermeable.
Memory aid to remembering this. Impervious equals I'm not plus per completely plus bias. Bias equals vicious. 6 sias 6 shs. Synonyms of vicious. Dangerously aggressive, savage. A vicious dog. Marked by violence or ferocity, fierce. I am so vicious that nothing can penetrate me.
Impervious. অনুপ্রবেশ বা প্রভাবিত হতে অক্ষম. Incapable of being penetrated or affected. Implacable. Niruls, ক্ষমাহীন. Relentless, unforgiving.
Implacable is an adjective. Noun form is implacability. Adverb form is implacably.
An implacable person just can't be appeased. If you really offended your best friend and tried every kind of apology but she refused to speak to you again, you could describe her as implacable. Implacable is derived from the verb to placate, which means to soothe, or to appease. If you're babysitting and the kid starts screaming the moment that his parents leave the house, and nothing you give him, be it a toy or ice cream, can calm him down, he might seem implacable.
Memory aid to remembering this. Implacable equals I'm not plus play plus cable. Cable is not playing, dubby, not friendly environment. In general, body implants are incapable of satisfying/pacifying.
Implacable. Niruls, ক্ষমাহীন. Relentless, unforgiving. Implicit. বোঝা গেল কিন্তু বলা হয়নি. Understood but not stated.
Implicit is an adjective. Noun form is implicitness. The adverb form is implicitly.
Use the adjective implicit when you mean that something is understood but not clearly stated. You might think you and your boyfriend might have an implicit understanding that you are going to get married, but it's probably better to talk it through. A very near synonym of implicit in this particular meaning is the word implied. But the adjective implicit also means without any doubt, so we can say that we have implicit trust or confidence in someone. The Latin root implica means to involve or entangle. Another English word with a more obvious connection to this Latin root is the verb implicate.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Implicit equals I'm not plus lit plus it. There is no leak in the tank. But, water drops from it.so, there must be hidden leak, some implicit leak.
Implicit. বোঝা গেল কিন্তু বলা হয়নি. Understood but not stated. Implode. কেন্দ্রীভূত করা. অন্তর্বিস্ফোরণ ঘটানো. First in word.
Implode is a verb.
When something implodes, it explodes inward, instead of outward. With extremely large buildings, it helps to implode them rather than explode them, because by falling inward they take up less space. Why bother to have a word like implode when you already have explode? Well, imagine there is something deep beneath the sea, being subjected to the intense pressure there. If the pressure is high enough that the object bursts, it would collapse in rather than out. It would, in fact, implode. People also sometimes use implode to describe a person subjected to intense pressures who, emotionally at least, bursts inward. All that stress just made Jess implode.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Implode, similar to explode.
Implode. কেন্দ্রীভূত করা. অন্তর্বিস্ফোরণ ঘটানো. First in word. Inadvertently. অনিচ্ছাকৃতভাবে, তত্ত্বাবধান দ্বারা, অসতর্কভাবে. Unintentionally, by oversight, carelessly.
Inadvertently is an adverb.
Inadvertently is an adverb that means without knowledge or intent, like when you inadvertently take someone else's coat from the coat room because it looks just like yours. When you do something inadvertently, you don't mean to do it. You might inadvertently step in a puddle, leave something important at home, or hurt your friend's feelings. Some things that happen inadvertently aren't mistakes, though, they happen by chance. For example, if you just happen to park your car at the exact place that blocks a bus from hitting a pedestrian, you've inadvertently saved a life.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Inadvertent equals in, not, plus advertise. It was not advertised by previously, it happens accidentally. Sounds like an adventure. Accident happens during the adventure. So, which happens accidentally is inadvertent.
Inadvertently. অনিচ্ছাকৃতভাবে, তত্ত্বাবধান দ্বারা, অসতর্কভাবে. Unintentionally, by oversight, carelessly. Enjoy. সম্প্রতি শুরু হয়েছে, প্রাথমিক. Recently begun, rudimentary, elementary.
Inchoate is an adjective. Noun form is inchoateness.
Inchoate means just beginning to form. You can have an inchoate idea, like the earliest flickers of images for your masterpiece, or an inchoate feeling, like your inchoate sense of annoyance toward your sister's new talking her. Inchoate comes from a Latin word for beginning. When something is inchoate, although you don't yet understand what it is fully, you have a strong sense that it is indeed coming. It's stronger than the wisp of an idea that never turns into anything. But it's hard to really find the language to describe an inchoate idea. That's the whole point, you don't have the words for it yet.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Inchoate equals inch plus O plus 8. It is only inch in length, but it will spoil your shape if you ate it. It will make you grow to a large size.
Enjoy. সম্প্রতি শুরু হয়েছে, প্রাথমিক. Recently begun, rudimentary, elementary. Incongruity. অসামঞ্জস্য. Lack of harmony, absurdity.
Incongruity is a noun.
Incongruity means out of place, something that doesn't fit in its location or situation. The art show patrons couldn't help but chuckle at the incongruity of a toilet sitting in the middle of an exhibition of Renaissance paintings. An incongruity is very different from everything around it, to the point of being inappropriate to the situation. A cat at a dog's birthday party would be an incongruity, as would a pacifist at a meeting of the War Lovers Society.
Incongruity is the idea that something is incongruous or inappropriate. A purple towel is an incongruity in an all black and white bathroom.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. In plus congruence, when two things are in congruence, they are in harmony, so in plus congruence means lack of harmony.
Incongruity, অসামঞ্জস্য, lack of harmony, absurdity. Inconsequential, নগণ্য, গুরুত্বহীন. Insignificant, unimportant.
Inconsequential is an adjective. Noun form is inconsequentiality. Adverb form is inconsequentially.
If something is considered of little worth or importance, it is inconsequential. If astronomers forecast a tremendous meteor shower, it might turn out to be no more than space junk, too inconsequential to record. You can use inconsequential to describe things that just don't matter, as in, the rainy forecast is totally inconsequential, the bowling tournament is inside. It also describes things that don't make sense in a certain order. Trying to win their votes is inconsequential. The election's over. Something small or minor can be inconsequential too, though the red bump on your nose on picture day may not seem as inconsequential to you as it does to the photographer.
Inconsequential, নগণ্য, গুরুত্বহীন. Insignificant, unimportant. Incorporate, বড় কিছুর মধ্যে নতুন করে কিছু সংযোজন বা পরিবর্তন. Introduce something into a larger whole, combine, unite.
Incorporate is verb. Noun form is incorporator. Adjective form is incorporable, incorporative.
To incorporate is to include or integrate a part into the whole. Incorporate is a more active version of the word include. If you incorporate, you are adding something to the mix. In the business world, to incorporate is a legal process. In other usages, the word incorporate really just means to include something or work something into whatever was already existing. You could incorporate your new roommate's furniture into the decor of your apartment, but you may not find a way to incorporate her cat's litter box.
Incorporate, বড় কিছুর মধ্যে নতুন করে কিছু সংযোজন বা পরিবর্তন. Introduce something into a larger whole, combine, unite. Indeterminate, অনিশ্চিত, স্পষ্টভাবে স্থির নয়, অনির্দিষ্ট. Uncertain, not clearly fixed, indefinite.
Indeterminate is adjective. Noun form is indeterminateness, indetermination. Adverb form is indeterminately.
Indeterminate means not known or decided. When someone contracts a rare stomach parasite but has not been traveling internationally, you might say it had indeterminate origins. It's important to distinguish indeterminate from undetermined, which means not yet decided. When you buy an antique vase and don't know when it dates from, you might describe it as of an indeterminate era. If you are traveling and don't know when you plan to return home, you could say that your return is as yet undetermined.
Indeterminate, অনিশ্চিত, স্পষ্টভাবে স্থির নয়, অনির্দিষ্ট. Uncertain, not clearly fixed, indefinite. Indigence, দারিদ্র্য, poverty.
Indigence is noun.
Indigence is a synonym for extreme poverty. If you experience indigence, you have a critical need for food, money, and other resources. To correctly pronounce indigence, accent the first syllable, andigens. It means great lack of material resources, like money. Indigence a noun, and indigent, an adjective, are related words that have to do with need. If you are indigent, suffering from extreme poverty, you are living in indigence, the state of extreme poverty.
Indigence, daritru, poverty. Indolent, alus, lazy.
Indolent is adjective. Adverb form is indolently.
Indolent is an adjective meaning slow or lazy. It can take an indolent teenager hours to get out of bed on a weekend morning. Often it's noon before he finally comes shuffling down to breakfast in his pajamas. An indolent person is slow and lazy, not the type of person you'd want running your corporation or competing with you in a relay race. Doctors use the word indolent to describe medical conditions that are slow to progress. If you're diagnosed with an illness, you prefer an indolent one over one that spreads quickly.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. In case you are lazy, indolent sounds like indoor, and the person who always plays indoor games is lazy.
Indolent, alus, lazy. Inert, nishkriyo, inactive, lacking power to move.
Inert is adjective. Noun form is inert, inertness. Adverb form is inertly.
Something that's unable to move or moving without much energy can be described as inert. Wind up in a body cast and you'll find yourself not only itchy, but totally inert. When motion is restricted or sluggish, or when something or someone appears lifeless, the adjective to use is inert. A dog who's playing dead is inert, as is a really boring movie. Or for those of you paying attention in chemistry class, you may have heard of inert gases, those elements that won't react with other elements or form chemical compounds.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. An inert gas is a gas that does not form chemical reactions with other chemical substances and therefore does not form chemical compounds. So, inert is lifeless or inactive.
Inert, nishkriyo, inactive, lacking power to move. Ingenuous, সরল, সহজে প্রতারিত হয় এমন. Naive and trusting, young, unsophisticated.
Ingenuous is adjective. Noun form is ingenuousness. Adverb form is ingenuously.
Someone who are ingenuous shows childlike innocence, trust, and openness. One of the things kindergarten teachers value is the chance to work with kids while they're still relatively ingenuous. Their open, trusting natures are a joy. Ingenuous is roughly synonymous with naive, and its antonym is disingenuous, which means giving a false impression of being honest and sincere. Don't confuse the word ingenuous with the similarly spelled ingenious, which means very smart or clever. Ingenuous is from Latin ingenuus, having the qualities of people born free, noble, honest, open.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Innocence plus genius equals ingenuous. Ingenuous equals innocence makes you intuitive genius, while being too smart leads you nowhere.
Ingenuous, সরল, সহজে প্রতারিত হয় এমন. Naive and trusting, young, unsophisticated. Inherent, অপরিহার্য, দৃঢ়ভাবে প্রকৃতি বা অভ্যাস দ্বারা প্রতিষ্ঠিত. Firmly established by nature or habit.
Inherent is adjective. Adverb form is inherently.
We use the adjective inherent to describe attributes that are part of the essential nature of something. It's different from you being tall, rather than being a description. It has to be a quality, and this quality is unchangeable. We use the adjective inherent to describe attributes that are part of the essential nature of something. It's different from you being tall, rather than being a description. It has to be a quality, and this quality is unchangeable. So, For example, if you have never been able to eat spinach, you have an inherent dislike of it.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Inherent equals intrinsical.
Inherent. অপরিহার্য, দৃঢ়ভাবে প্রকৃতি বা অভ্যাস দ্বারা প্রতিষ্ঠিত। Firmly established by nature or habit. Innocuous. নিরীহ, নির্দোষ। Harmless.
Innocuous is adjective. Noun form is innocuousness. Adverb form is innocuously. Something that's innocuous isn't harmful or likely to cause injury. Public figures like mayors and governors have to expect they'll get critical or even hurtful emails and phone calls, as well as more innocuous feedback. The adjective innocuous is useful when you're talking about something that doesn't offend or injure anyone. Innocuous remarks or comments are meant kindly, and innocuous germs won't make you sick. An innocuous question is innocently curious, rather than aimed to hurt someone's feelings. The word comes from the Latin roots in dash, not, and nocere, to injure or harm.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. NNOC sounds like knock, knock the door to come inside. If someone knocks to come inside, then he is harmless.
Innocuous. নিরীহ, নির্দোষ। Harmless. Insensible, অজ্ঞান, প্রতিক্রিয়াহীন, unconscious, unresponsive.
Insensible is adjective. Noun form is insensibleness, insensibility. Adverb form is insensibly. The adjective insensible is used to describe someone who is unconscious. If you keep your bowling ball on the top shelf of the closet and it rolls out and conks you on the head, you will probably be rendered insensible. The adjective insensible describes a lack of emotional response or being indifferent. If your friend says that the roller coaster was so scary it nearly made him vomit, and you shrug and say, "Hey, it was okay," he may think you are insensible to fear. A lack of physical sensation can also be described as insensible. If your nerve endings are not acute and you don't feel much pain, you are insensible to pain. This can be dangerous, though, because you might not notice if you get hurt skateboarding.
Insensible, অজ্ঞান, প্রতিক্রিয়াহীন, unconscious, unresponsive. Insinuate নির্দেশ করা, আকারে ইঙ্গিতে বোঝানো হয়, employee খরিদেন।
Insinuate is verb. Noun form is insinuator. Adjective form is insinuative. Insinuate means you imply or suggest something that may or may not be true. If you say things seem to go wrong about the time your brother took over, you insinuate that he had something to do with the decline. There's another way to insinuate. Suppose you're in line to get into a popular dance club when a celebrity appears, surrounded by a big entourage. If you strike up a conversation with one of the entourage, you may be able to insinuate that you're part of the group and go in with them. Don't feel bad. People have been doing it at least since the 1520s, when insinuate evolved from the Latin word insinuare, meaning wind one's way into.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Insinuate equals unplusseen so. When two people are engaged in gambling, we give hint such that it is unseen to other.
Insinuate নির্দেশ করা, আকারে ইঙ্গিতে বোঝানো হয়, employee খরিদেন। Insipid, স্বাদের অভাব, নিস্তেজ। Lacking flavor, dull.
Insipid is adjective. Noun form is insipidity. Adverb form is insipidly. Something insipid is lacking in flavor or interest. You'll probably find the generic poems inside of greeting cards insipid. Insipid comes from the Latin insipidus, the opposite of sapidus, which means flavorful. Because spices and salts are left out, hospital food is usually considered insipid. The most common use of the word is in a metaphorical sense for dull or flat. You might think that your goody two-shoes cousin is the most insipid girl you've ever met.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Suppose you go to a party. Now in that party, you are not allowed to sip any drink. No drinks allowed. No soda, no beer. Sorry. Just imagine how dull and lifeless that party would be. The sip in insipid should remind you of such a party.
Insipid. স্বাদের অভাব, নিস্তেজ. Lacking flavor, dull. Insularity. সংকীর্ণতা, আলাদা করা. Narrow-mindedness, isolation.
Insularity is noun. Adjective form is insular. Adverb form is insularly. The noun insularity refers to the quality of being isolated or detached. In fact, the word is based on the Latin word insula, for island. The phrase "no man is an island" means that no one can be completely separate from others. The word insularity has a sense of detachment and insulation, but sometimes the meaning is extended to mean being narrow-minded. Parents always try to protect their kids from harm, but sometimes their insularity goes too far. If you grew up in the 1950s, for example, your parents may have wanted to protect you from the evils of Elvis and rock and roll.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Insularity sounds like insulation. So narrow-minded people are insulated be isolated from new thinking.
Insularity. সংকীর্ণতা, আলাদা করা. Narrow-mindedness, isolation. Intractable. অবাধ্য, জেদি. Unwilling, stubborn, unyielding.
Intractable is adjective. Noun form is intractability. Adverb form is intractably. Can't manage your stubborn little brother who won't do what anyone says. You could call him intractable, or you could call your mother. Problems are intractable when they can't be solved. Intractable means not tractable. Helpful, right? No? Let's break it down. In both words you see the word tract. A contract is a written document that explains how a legal situation is to be managed together. When someone is tractable, they are able to be managed or handled. When they are intractable, they are as unmanageable as a hungry 2-year-old.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Intractable is not, plus tract, stretch, plus able, do, means if something / someone is not stretchable / flexible, implies stubborn or unyielding.
Intractable. অবাধ্য, জেদি. Unruly, stubborn, unyielding. Intransigence. কোনো আপস প্রত্যাখ্যান, জেদ, অমান্য. Refusal of any compromise, stubbornness.
Intransigence is noun. If you refuse to compromise with your sister about whose turn it is to do the dishes, your mother might accuse you both of intransigence. Intransigence is a stubborn refusal to change your views. Inside of intransigence, you see the Latin transigere, which means to come to an understanding. People who show intransigence refuse to do this. Nations are often accused of intransigence when they refuse to comply with international standards or will.
Intransigence. কোনো আপস প্রত্যাখ্যান, জেদ, অমান্য. Refusal of any compromise, stubbornness. Inundate. অভিভূত করা, বন্যা, নিমজ্জিত. Overwhelm, flood, submerge.
Inundate is verb. Noun form is inundation, inundator. Adjective form is inundatory. To inundate means to quickly fill up or overwhelm, just like a flood. Your bathroom could be inundated with water if the pipes burst, and hopefully your inbox is inundated with nice emails on your birthday. Commonly used to refer to a deluge of water, inundate can also refer to an overflow of something less tangible, like information. Right before the holidays, toy stores are often inundated with eager parents scrambling to get the latest action figures and video games. Attempt to read the entire dictionary in one sitting and you'll inundate your mind with vocabulary. But you probably won't remember any of it tomorrow.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. Inundate equals inun. Inun means chimney or stove, plus date. If coal are going to burn for a date, there will be more flame from the chimney.
Inundate. অভিভূত করা, বন্যা, নিমজ্জিত. Overwhelm, flood, submerge. Inundate. অভিভূত করা, বন্যা, নিমজ্জিত. Overwhelm, flood, submerge.
Inured is adjective. Noun form is inurement. If you have gotten so many mosquito bites in your life that they no longer bother you, you have become inured to them. This means you have become accustomed to tolerating them. This adjective is derived from the 16th century phrase inure, meaning in use or in practice. When you are inured to something, you have probably had a lot of persistent exposure to it, and it's usually something negative. People can become inured to pain, inured to violence, and even inured to the sound of a little yappy dog that won't stop barking.
Memory aid to help you memorize this. To become inured, you must have endured. Someone getting injured frequently will get hardened and accustomed to pain.
Inundate. অভিভূত করা, বন্যা, নিমজ্জিত. Overwhelm, flood, submerge. Invective. গালি, অপব্যবহার. Abuse.
Invective is noun and adjective. Noun form is invectiveness. Adverb form is invectively. Invective is harsh, abusive language, like you dirty rotten scoundrel. I'm sure you can think of harsher and more obscene examples, but we won't get into them here. Invective comes from the Latin for abusive. It kind of sounds like a harsh word, actually, with those sharp, dagger-like V's. People usually put a colourful verb or phrase before it. Some examples: she spewed invective, she hurled invective, she burst forth into invective. You can follow it with a phrase like picking up her plate and throwing it across the room.
Invective. গালি, অপব্যবহার. Abuse. Irascible. খিটখিটে, সহজে রাগান্বিত. Irritable, easily injured.
Irascible is adjective. Noun form is irascibility, irascibleness. Adverb form is irascibly. If you're irascible, you get angry easily, perhaps blowing up in rage when someone brushes into you. Irascible comes from the Latin root ira, which means anger or rage, the same root that gives us the word ire, anger. The SC in the middle of irascible means becoming, so irascible doesn't just mean you're angry, it's got action built into it. If you're looking for a fight most of the time, then you're irascible, ready for the spark that's going to set you on fire.
Irascible. খিটখিটে, সহজে রাগান্বিত. Irritable, easily injured. Irresolute. কিভাবে কাজ করতে হবে তা সম্পর্কে নিশ্চিত নয়. Uncertain how to act, weak.
Irascible is adjective. Noun form is irascibility, irascibleness. Adverb form is irascibly. Irresolute describes someone who feels stuck. A decision must be made, a plan acted on, but the irresolute person just doesn't know what to do. Resolute describes certainty. When someone is resolute, things get done, plans are made and carried out. But add the prefix ir to resolute and you get its opposite. An irresolute person isn't necessarily a slacker. He or she just doesn't know what to do. Maybe it's confusion. Maybe it's a matter of waiting for better information to come along. Either way, if someone is irresolute, you'll need to be patient, or willing to nudge him or her into action.
Irresolute. কিভাবে কাজ করতে হবে তা সম্পর্কে নিশ্চিত নয়। Uncertain how to act, weak. Itinerary. ভ্রমণের পরিকল্পনা। Plan of trip.
Itinerary is noun. An itinerary is your travel plan, where you will go and when you will be there.
If you make plans to fly to Paris from Beijing or take a train to Chicago from Mexico City, you will need an itinerary. That means you will have a plan that displays how you will get from point to point in your travels and when you will be at each point. This word comes from the Middle English itineraries and is defined as being about a journey. Itineraries can be really useful because if you give your mother yours, she will always know where you are. Itinerary. ভ্রমণের পরিকল্পনা. Plan of trip.